Hi there, this is Miss Heather from the Counseling Office with a quick webinar to describe the flex time session that was presented this week on the practice exams that are offered here at NITO to help you prepare for the standardized tests, the SAT or the ACT, that are used in some university admissions processes around the world. So as you can see from this slide, the SAT or the ACT are useful across many country systems. In the US and Asia, they are the rule in that they are required for most institutions. You can see that for the UK, Australia, and Canada, the SAT or ACT is required when trying to apply to programs with a partial IB diploma, AP exams, or a US high school diploma. So they can be a way to help you open up a variety of admissions pathways if you don't have the full IB diploma. The SAT and ACT can be useful for university admissions in Chile to give you an idea of how the PSU might look, as it is actually based on USA standardized testing. So the take-home message is that it is quite useful in university admissions. And in grade 10, all you're trying to do is raise awareness and begin to practice. This doesn't mean that you need to be meeting with counselors to determine your university list. This is just to help you understand that this may be one piece of the application puzzle. We also want that a big take-home message to be is that your goal is to choose one test to take and to take it when you are prepared to get your best score once or twice. Because this is what you should be doing on Saturday mornings. These exams are 4.5 hours on Saturday mornings at 7:30. So we don't want you to exhaust yourself by taking too many exams, too many kinds of exams, because your goal is to get the top score that you need to get access to the universities that are right for you. So now I'm going to go into just a little comparison about what these exams are about. You don't have to memorize any of this, but just to start to feel that one test may in fact be better for you than another. The first element to consider is pacing and time management. Hands down, the SAT is better for those students who need to move slower, who want to not feel pressed for time. Across all sections, the SAT offers more seconds per question. However, despite having more questions per second, the ACT is reportedly perceived as less taxing because the language presented, the information presented, and those data points to be calculated are less sophisticated than those presented on the SAT. So overall, it feels easier. Through practice testing, you can determine how well you manage your time across a very long exam and how you can maintain endurance and maintain focus and maintain motivation to do as well on those last questions 4 hours later than you were on the first ones. Related to passage-based reading, both tests offer sections related to that. You can see the comparison number of passages presented, the number of questions asked, and here's where they differ, the length of the section. If you're a strong reader, you might be happy to know that the SAT asks you to read passage-based questions for 65 minutes. The ACT is about half of that. So they have fewer questions per minute, increased time overall per section, but again, the advantage of the ACT for you might be is that overall the language, quote, feels less difficult. But you might be reacting to this slide, whether you're a strong reader or a less strong reader, about which test might be better for you. Do you like science? Yes? No? No way? The ACT is the only test with a quote-unquote science section, and I say that because it is masquerading a bit as a science section. It is in fact mostly reading comprehension and quantitative assessment around skills like reading tables and graphs around science-related topics. So it's super important to take practice tests with the science section so you don't make a decision around how you feel about science, but in fact how your score reveals your strengths. If you are a strong reader, I highly recommend you try the ACT because in my mind you get a passage-based reading section as well as a science section, which also takes advantage of strengths in reading. Both tests have a math section, and here's where they differ quite broadly. In terms of content, they have a big focus on algebra of all kinds. The SAT includes a little bit of data analysis. The ACT does a teeny bit of trigonometry. But you can see in number 2, in the SAT, a full third of the math section relies on mental math, where no calculator is allowed. The ACT allows you to use on calculators for the easiest and most difficult questions. So if you're that person who uses it as a crutch to double check, triple check, even your simplest calculations, you need to see how comfortable you will be on the mental math component of the SAT. On the number 3, you can see the format of the questions differs as well. The ACT straight up 60 questions, all multiple choice. The format never changes. On the SAT, you can see that a full quarter of the problems are not multiple choice, but are of something called a grid-in problem, where there are empty boxes and you need to complete the calculations and enter an answer that you feel is correct. You don't know if it's a decimal, if it's an integer, if it's positive or negative. And that may make you feel excited or fearful. You can also see at the bottom there, the SAT will provide you a bar of what they consider to be useful formulas: area and circumference, Pythagorean theorem, special right triangles. Great if in fact you have a mind blank and need to remember how to calculate the area of a circle. The ACT does not provide any formulas for you. And finally, they both test American English grammar. And you can see that again, the SAT is far more generous in terms of time, but they both are testing about the same 16 grammatical conventions around subject-verb agreement, pronoun use, improper modifiers, parallel construction, etc. So grammar is the same. They come in different parts of the test, but they can feel equivalent, except in my mind for the pacing. And they both have an essay section, which differs quite widely. The SAT is going to feel like a more traditional work that you might be familiar with in English. They have essay prompts around big themes like love and courage and freedom, and will ask you to do a more critical analysis style of work. The ACT, in fact, will present you with a position, an opinion on something, and they will ask you to evaluate perspectives about that position as well as share your own. Sometimes students feel that writing about what they believe is easier than doing a more analytical work. So that was a very brief introduction to the differences. So the goal, again, should be knowing that your goal is to choose one exam where you will get the highest score. How do you determine which test is best for you? You start now in 10th grade just taking practice exams. You are not hearing me say you should begin preparing for these exams through test preparation work. Practice testing is key. In the 10th grade, we offer you opportunities to take the practice SAT and the practice ACT. No scores of any kind will be used in the university admissions process. Who in 10th grade should practice? You don't have to practice in advance, but I do think you should practice when the tests are offered. Students who are even remotely considering applying to universities in the US, across Asia, and all of those students who might not pursue the full IB, we'll get to that next semester when we do your academic planning, but students who end up pursuing IB certificates who are interested in nearly all country systems, the SAT or ACT will likely help you apply to schools of your choosing. So our advice for grade 10 students, if you are interested in attending university outside of Chile, our advice is to practice. Take a practice SAT, take a practice ACT, and see what happens. Grade 11 is when you can even get more specific about how these tests will serve you in your application process. But this is not about asking what your sibling did. This is not about going online in a chat room. This is not about making assumptions about which universities prefer which exam. These exams are accepted equivalently across university systems. The goal is for you to get one of your top scores. Okay, how we're going to do this is we're going to offer 10th grade official pre-ACT and official PSAT. You can see here on the slide the dates and times these will be offered. The pre-ACT on the 17th of October is a half day for students. So we'll begin this 2.5-hour exam immediately after classes end, and no academic classes will be missed. On the 30th of October, we'll offer the PSAT. This is a globally assigned test date, and we didn't have a choice. It also happens to be a half day, but we are required to start at 7:45 a.m. So you will, in fact, miss E, F, and H blocks if you, in fact, register. Remember that these practice tests are opt-in. We do not require students to take these exams. So again, per my slide previously, if you are curious about attending university outside Chile, you should consider sitting these practice exams. Last thing is that more is not more. When you get around to taking the official exam for college, the goal is to never promote, sure, just take one and see, take both and we'll see. The goal is to prepare through diagnostic testing to take the test that's best for you, to allow you to get your best score with focused preparation, as you just don't have enough time in the day to prepare for both. There aren't hero points for acing both exams. So we're really excited to get the 10th graders aware of these standardized tests that support university applications. That's it. But we don't need anybody to be worried about, are you behind in the college process? You need to be focusing on getting involved in school, focusing on getting the best marks you can out of class, becoming the best student you can through really good choices and developing great habits, and now getting exposed to what a standardized testing will mean for you in your junior year. Thanks for listening. And now the goal is to complete the link provided in the email to the form which will help us understand if you would like to register for one of these practice exams. On the form is information about fees, dates, and times. Thanks everybody. Looking forward to working together around practice standardized testing.